The largest online fashion retailer is moving ahead with its ambitions for world fashion domination. Just this week, Shein acquiring a third of fellow fast fashion retailer Forever 21, effectively allowing the company to further its reach on American fashion. The online retail giant is also betting on going public and could launch an IPO as soon as this year. And it's drawing major concerns about the true price of fashion. Shein has been accused of being a criminal enterprise, and 16 attorneys general are calling for an investigation into the company for various claims of human rights abuses, including forced labor. Let's welcome in Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin, who is among those calling on the SEC to investigate. Attorney General, thank you so much for your time. First of all, why did you want to be a part of this?
Well, I think that it's fair to say that there are credible news organizations as well as credible third-party groups who have done their own investigations, and there are credible allegations as a result of what they found that Shein is using forced labor to support this growth in this retail giant. And now they want to do business, benefit from the United States, our markets here in the United States, our exchanges. There's no right to do business on a U.S. exchange. And we all the attorneys general and many others who have signed this letter have concerns about the use of forced labor. We have federal laws that deal with this. We have the Uyghur Forced Labor Protection Act, as well as Section 307 of the Tariff Act of 1930. And, Shein has basically said, hey, we looked at ourselves and we're good. Don't worry about it. Well, we wouldn't take any company's word that said that, much less a Chinese company such as this, and where there are reasons to doubt its veracity. So really all we're asking is that the SEC verify with an independent investigation, independent review, to make certain that our laws are being followed.
Yeah.
If someone's going to benefit from our markets, it's a pretty basic request here.
So, AJ Griffin, I think that in most cases, a certain level of suspicion, a certain level of investigation is a good thing. And you mentioned this forced labor, which is a very important topic. But some people would argue that there are plenty of other big name companies which have found ways to kind of maneuver around allegations of forced labor, sometimes child labor. How is this company different? Is it, or is it because it's, founded in China, now based in Singapore? What is really at the heart of this?
Well, I think there are a number of things. First of all, I would say this. The fact that someone else is getting away with this sort of conduct doesn't really say anything about this particular case. If you ask me, no one, if they're violating the law, no one should get away with that, regardless of who they are. So that is really neither here nor there. This is in the spotlight because they're not on our soil in the sense that they're not based here, and they are asking for the privilege of using our markets. We have a say over that. We have laws on the books. But let me give you a little background. So I've been I can't speak for the other attorneys general in terms of why they felt led to sign this other than what's in the letter. But I can tell you from my perspective, I've been in the military and am still a reservist for 27 years. And I am very familiar with what goes on in that part of the world, particularly with regard to the Uyghurs and human rights abuses and the South China Sea and all of the different things that we have to deal with with regard to China. Mm-hmm. And I think that anybody who says, well, we ought to treat Chinese companies, Chinese-based companies, the way we treat every one of the United States companies, well, yes, our companies need to follow the law, but I have a lot more confidence in the leadership and in the practices of companies, for example,
right,
where I know the leadership, as opposed to Shein.
Right.
So,
well, AJ Griffin, I mean, we report on almost a daily basis on plenty of reasons that Americans should, at the very least, be suspicious of Chinese motivations when it comes to various enterprises. I mean, if we're talking about Shein, as we said at the top of this, I mean, they've been accused of being really just a criminal enterprise. But my question for you is, won't we continue to see this be a potential problem as long as there is this demand, from Americans for fast fashion, for computer chips, fill in the blank, whatever it is?
Sure. Look, we always need to we need to use the power that consumers have. We need to, and I talk about this with friends. I talk about this in my own home. We can't always know what's behind what we're buying. But to the extent we have knowledge, to the extent we have information, we ought to be reading labels, we ought to be reading the news, and we ought not equip and empower a company where there are credible allegations of forced labor. We're not talking about someone over the water cooler said, hey, I heard this about this company. We're talking about credible allegations. Right. And again, they have no right to use our markets.
That's a
It is a
valid point.
privilege.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's a privilege that we control. And so we ought to be diligent and we ought to do our homework.
Well, Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin, we certainly appreciate your time. Thank you for giving us some of it, and we will continue to follow this and see what ultimately ends up happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.